straight ahead, got my head in the game, with the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change, keep my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. Look, I wasn't going to do another episode this year. It's going to break in between Christmas and New Year's, obviously. However, I'd seen this article, a few things coming out, thought, wow, we have to at least bring your attention to what's happening. Now, I'm not a prophet, I'm not the son of a prophet, but I think 2024 is shaping up to be a year of natural disasters. That's just my opinion. And I think we have had the Premier for Queensland. We have been given, he's been placed, put it that way, placed into office because other people can see that these things are going to happen. And he is the climate change activist of that other people have decided we needed. This headline here that I'm going to read to you, the story says, my job to convince them. Stephen Miles knows climate change is coming for Queensland. Now, we've already had this cyclone Jasper just in the last week caused absolute havoc through far north Queensland. The flooding in that from Cairns and upwards has just been phenomenal, the amount of rain that's come through. So, and obviously Stephen Miles was already very deep into the climate change ideology, a follower of the Al Gore, the one and only Al Gore. Climate change has been his thing. And as soon as I saw him come in and he made a few announcements at the very start, I thought this fella is going to be some trouble. And I reckon he might be placed there by the powers that be that want someone like him, like his from his ilk in government of this, running the government of our state. So I'll read through a bit of the story, just bring it up so you can follow along. And I tell you what, it's very concerning, and I think it just reads out of the the playbook of the WEF, to be honest. Miles had already set out to make climate change one of the themes of his first week in office. Remember, he's only been in for, 2 weeks now? Even before ex-tropical cyclone Jasper flooded the state's north 2 Fridays running, the student of Al Gore has rolled out major green announcements, doubling the state's emissions reduction target to 75% by 2035 in his first announcement as premier, and banning new gas developments from the state's far western river systems, an election promise dating to 2015. Banning. We've already got energy issues, and these people want to make it harder for us. Harder for cooking, harder for heating. Crikey. Miles is eager to build a consensus around the economics of the transition, a link between city and bush, right and left. The stakes are high for the transition in Queensland, which has among the world's most carbon-dependent economies, according to Gavin McFadzean. Now remember, carbon, that's the big baddie in all this situation. Carbon's going to kill us all, apparently, if you believe the ideology. So he's Gavin McFadzean, a program manager at the Conservation Council. The coal industry was worth more than $15 billion to the state budget last financial year, partly as a result of royalties hikes legislated under the former Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. Queensland also has the nation's second highest proportion of residents living in regional areas, behind Tasmania. Federal Labor holds no seats outside southeast Queensland. State Labor repeatedly won elections by appealing to the regions, including mining communities like Gladstone. Miles hopes he has found the answer. It's my job to convince people that addressing climate change isn't a threat to jobs. It's actually a way to protect jobs, he says. If you look at the high-emitting industries in places like Gladstone and Townsville, they're going to lose their global customers if they continue to be reliant on such high levels of fossil fuel energy. The problem is they're not going to lose their global customers, because the global customers, especially for the coal industry, is China. They're not changing. They don't give a damn about climate change, supposed climate change, because they know it's not real. But the Chinese Communist Party are not going to stop buying coal. And India, these two countries, major countries, are not going to stop their demand for coal. The only way that's going to happen is if government starts to interfere. People like Stephen Miles out there championing the ideology for climate change. Look, let's continue on with what else he's saying. I think this is the whole reason why he's been placed into office. I think he's been placed in. So the best way we can protect those jobs is by providing them with renewable energy so that they can sell their products into markets that increasingly want green aluminium, green steel, green products. And similarly, if we get it right, we can also attract new industries. In the past, they were attracted to our cheap, plentiful fossil fuel-based energy. In the future, we will have cheap, plentiful, firmed, renewable energy. With an election less than a year away, the minerals industry, which is already running ads complaining of coal royalty increases, was further angered by this announcement that they made about that he's already made when he came into office. A spokesman for Santos says the company has operated sustainably and safely in the rivers and floodplains of the basins for around 55 years. This decision was made with little regard to science and evidence or the contribution of the gas industry in southwest Queensland to regional jobs. But this is the problem with the climate activists. They don't care about actual science or actual evidence. It's all alarmist. It's all selling their ideology because they're going to be able to use that ideology, that fear-mongering, to control the masses. If you don't change, if you don't do what they want, you're going to die. You must cut your carbon. You must stop driving around your diesel trucks. You must buy an electric vehicle because then they can control when and where you can charge your vehicle and how often you can drive it. And they can also stop the car if they feel the need. If you don't believe me, I've already done a couple of podcasts about what's happening in the UK. This is the exact legislation that they brought in London. They can control when you can charge your vehicle, and they can actually switch off the charging if they deem it necessary. The government, this is coming everywhere. And here we just see it coming to Australia, to Queensland. So anyway, the Queensland Resources Council describes the decision as short-sighted. McFadden believes the industry has even more to lose from the new emissions reduction target. It sounds the death knell for domestic energy from coal and gas. Domestic energy. This is the problem, isn't it? We already have energy issues. I mean, in a nation that should not have any kind of energy issues, we're having energy issues. That's crazy. And they want us to buy electric vehicles, but they want to cut back the products we use to create electricity. And new houses, they want us to stop using gas for our cooking facilities when they're building new houses. It's all got to run electricity because they can control you. They can control the electricity grid. If they control the electricity grid, they can control you. This is what it's all about. But Miles is adamant he hasn't promised an imminent switch away from fossil fuels. The Cattai Thunder Lake Air new gas ban was about protecting one particular area rather than setting a cap on gas, he says. For fossil fuel generation, we have a plan for an orderly transition of our workforces into clean energy jobs. They've decided. This is what they've decided, and you have to do it. For extraction, there will continue to be a demand, particularly for coking coal and gas going forward. That's most of our resources industry. Miles has about 300 days before the next election to convince Queenslanders he is right about the path to transition. While historically, debate in Queensland has focused on the risks of moving too fast, this week may have provided a timely reminder of the danger of moving too slowly. Because Miles says it is hard to blame a single event on climate change. A single event, because none of it is actually climate change. You know, the reason why the verse was written, you know, I love a sunburnt country, and it talks about a land of floods, of fires, of extreme heats and cold, because that's the way this nation's always been. It's just called weather. Anyway, keep going. So he says it's hard to blame a single event on climate change, because climate change, it's an ideology. It's a religion. It's not. Anyway, I'll leave that kind of causation to the scientists. But the increased heat in the Earth's atmosphere poses salient risks for Queensland. There is no doubt that Queensland has always been the most disaster-prone place in the country, one of the most disaster-prone first world places in the world, Miles says, and that's going to get worse. I believe, like I said, I believe Miles has been placed in here to really ramp up the fear in Queenslanders. Just another leader placed by the likes of Klaus, Al Gore, to ramp up the fear for Queenslanders and to force us into a place where you have to go along with the climate change ideology or you get left behind. And even though you can see it's not good for the country, it's not good for individuals, and it'll make us poorer. It'll put us behind other nations. They will still force us to do it. And I think we're going to see more and more bad, extreme weather in 2024, and it's going to continually be blamed on climate change. And Miles is just going to force us down this road, whether we like it or not. Yet we have an election in about 300 days or so. So you know what we need to do. Labor needs to go. Miles is a plant for the WEF, is he? Maybe. I don't know. Seems very strange. Anyway, all I can say is the Bible already tells me how the world's going to end, and it's not going to be because of climate change. I'll tell you that much. That's just my opinion. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope.
Just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. And nothing's gonna just focus on me goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Gonna say